Well, hello and welcome to my very first YouTube video with me speaking to the camera. I've done it before when I was four-wheeling, but the camera was pointed out the window. Now I have to actually remind myself to look at the camera and not at me. And yeah. So, I decided to call this channel the Morton Menagerie because it's just going to be a menagerie of shit. Random shit. That occurs to me, and I feel like sitting down and making a video about it, and there will probably be a lot coming up. It's just random shit, current events, philosophical issues, politics, of course, and maybe some thinking about what I was doing driving down the highway the other day. I don't know. It'll be random shit. So, but now I kind of understand why people have notes. Or you probably shouldn't do this high. Because I think that probably is where those brief moments of spaced out, like where was I going with this question in your head, seems like a very long time. Maybe I'll edit it out, maybe it'll still be in here. Who the hell knows? I don't expect a lot of people to look at this anyway, so back to my random shit. And I froze in my thinking because I got this piece of mail today. I don't even remember who it was from, but it was about burial death benefits. And my first thought was like, screw you, dick. And then my second thought was, that's like one of those things that is an absolute reality for anyone that exists, for no matter how long they exist. Their existence will end. They'll die. We're all going to die. And why is that something that people can make money off of? It's kind of like healthcare. And we'll probably talk about that at some point in time, or numerous points in time, who knows. But it's an absolute in all of our existence, yet we allow people to make money off it. So if I'm really rich, I can have some big pomp and circumstance. I can serve food in my mansion. People can come over and talk shit about me. But if I'm not rich, and even cremation is more expensive than just stuffing you in a pine box and burying you out in the corner of the cemetery somewhere. But, yeah, not much. And I guess that's sticks with me particularly because we all exist. I think we can all at some level recognize that this is an amazing, fascinating existence. That as far as we know is nowhere else to be found in the universe. We obviously think that that's highly unlikely, but right now, as far as we know, why diminish our existence with the principle of thousands of other existences? And we should, as a race, celebrate that existence. Whether or not you were only alive for a matter of hours or 100 years. I think it should at least have some ceremonial recognition. And that can take whatever form it takes. But I don't think making money off it is okay. So, yeah. And that kind of just segued me into that's kind of what we've become. And yeah, the principle of capitalism, et cetera, we have to, capitalism is an interesting creature that I don't understand why so many people support. The only way capitalism survives, and the only way people benefit more off of capitalism, I'm not necessarily sure that's a true statement, but the only way capitalism survives is by expansion, by growth and expansion. That's the only way it survives. When you start losing growth and expansion, then you start losing the opportunities for people to make and create money. And that's an absolute essential for capitalism, because then it just starts backsliding into a disaster. So, knowing this, if for no other reason, the fact that we live on a finite planet, why would we choose to follow these principles of the only way we can make things work right for ourselves is if we continually expand, especially when you come to understand that continual expansion for some is much greater and faster than it is for others. Not too many mom and pop stores became big chain supermarkets. They're out there, not a lot of them. There's a lot more mom and pop stores that are always going to be mom and pop stores. Some people make it big and they expand like nobody's business. And that creates problems in itself. And if you look at what it takes for capitalism to really work, then you realize that there comes some fallout from that. And what I mean is a simple principle. If you don't have poor people to compare to, then what context do you put rich in? What would rich mean without poor to contrast it? And that just by itself is really a good sense of what capitalism is. There's a business to be had with poor. It's an industry in itself. Which obviously begs another conversation. But that's the nature of capitalism. Yet we all want that, because it's like that pyramid scheme. When the guy walking around with the 5 black diamond, whatever it is he has, steps up and speaks to you and tells you just how easy it is for you to make these things happen, and one on top of the other. That's kind of what capitalism is. It really is. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a big pyramid scheme, but it's a pyramid scheme. And going back to my conversation about respecting our existence on this planet, no matter how short or long, that's not conducive to recognizing and appreciating life. When you are starting to value money over what we are as part of this planet. And that's what capitalism does. It becomes its own self-feeding monster. Stories about kids living in the bad side of town, and some guy drives by in a nice Cadillac or a nice fine ride of your choice, and that's what they want. He's cool, he's bad, he's got music blaring out the windows, he's all bling, and they want that, and they aspire to that, so they find out about that. They find out who he is, they learn what he does, because they live in that neighborhood. And that's capitalism. That really is. I mean, of course, the inference is he's making his money illegally, but that's the motivation of capitalism. It's just not okay. It predates. It's a predatory type of economic principle, and I don't understand why that's okay. We have only in our short existence as human beings on this planet, we have many accounts in our history, in our recent history, within the last, 2,500 years of how the valuing of money or currency really led to the demise of the fabric of a culture. And that's what we're seeing happen right now, right before our very eyes. We all have this sense of, something's got to give somewhere. And yeah, it's, these are just the stress fractures starting to show up in our society. We haven't seen anything yet. Nothing's really begun to break, but it will. That's the path we're going on. There's a lot of history that talks about this path in different times with different words, but it's there. And we are so full of ourselves that we think that can't happen to us. So, we'll talk about it more later.